friends, Mr. DeJordy here, and we are continuing on with our chapter book that we are reading off of an electronic book, an ebook, and the book that we've been reading is called Fantastic Mr. Fox, and we left off at chapter 5, and chapter 5 is called The Terrible Tractors. As the sun rose the next morning, Bogus and Bunce and Bean were still digging. They had dug a hole so deep you could have put a house into it, but they had not yet come to the end of the fox's tunnel. They were all very tired and cross. To be cross means that you're very impatient and angry. "Dang and blast," said Bogus. "Whose rotten idea was this?" "Bean's idea," said Bunce. Bogus and Bunce both stared at Bean. Bean took another swig of his cider, then put the flask back into his pocket without offering it to the others. "Listen," he said angrily. "I want that fox. I'm going to get that fox. I'm not giving in till I've strung him up from my front porch, dead as a dumpling." "We can't get him by digging, that's for sure," said the fat Bogus. "I've had enough of digging." Bunce, the little pot-bellied dwarf, looked up at Bean and said, "Have you got any more silly ideas then?" "What?" said Bean. "I can't hear you." Bean never took a bath. He never even washed. As a result, his ear holes were clogged with all kinds of muck and wax and bits of chewing gum and dead flies and stuff like that. That made him deaf. "Speak louder," he said to Bunce, and Bunce shouted back, "Got any more silly ideas?" And there's a picture of him holding his ear, and they're shouting into it. Bean rubbed the back of his neck with a dirty finger. He had a boil coming there, and it itched. A boil is like a callus, a bump. "What you need on this job," he said, "is machines. Mechanical shovels. We'll have him out in 5 minutes with mechanical shovels." This was a pretty good idea. The other two had to admit it. "All right then," Bean said, taking charge. "Bogus, you stay here and see that the fox doesn't escape. Bunce and I will go and fetch our machinery. If he tries to get out, shoot him quick." The long, thin Bean walked away. The tiny Bunce trotted after him. The fat Bogus stayed where he was with his gun pointed at the fox's hole. Soon, 2 enormous caterpillar tractors with mechanical shovels on their front ends came clanging into the wood. Bean was driving one, Bunce the other. The machines were both black. They were murderous, brutal-looking monsters. And here they are. Picture of them. So before they were trying with shovels to dig them out. They really have a growth mindset, these naughty old farmers. They're not giving up. "Here we go then," shouted Bean. "Death to the fox," shouted Bunce. The machines went to work, biting huge mouthfuls of soil out of the hill. The big tree under which Mr. Fox had dug his hole in the first place was toppled like a matchstick. On all sides, rocks were sent flying and trees were falling, and the noise was deafening. Down in the tunnel, the foxes crouched, listening to the terrible clanging and banging overhead. "What's happening, Dad?" cried the small foxes. "What are they doing?" Mr. Fox didn't know what was happening or what they were doing. "It's an earthquake!" cried Mrs. Fox. "Look!" said one of the small foxes. "Our tunnels got shorter. I can see daylight." They all looked around, and yes, the mouth of the tunnel was only a few feet away from them now, and in the circle of daylight beyond, they could see the 2 huge black tractors almost on top of them. "Tractors!" shouted Mr. Fox, "and mechanical shovels. Dig for your lives! Dig, dig, dig!" And that is the end of chapter 5. And tomorrow we will continue on with chapter 6, and chapter 6 is called The Race. So I guess they're going to race to catch the foxes. We will see you friends tomorrow. Have a great day.